It always comes to this. Hello guys, back again to do another tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I showed off the top and bottom roses on my rose sleeve that I've been reworking with color with Terry. So this is healed now. Obviously it did pretty good. It looks about pretty close to the same as the first two we did. In places, certain things did better than others. For example, oddly enough, the leaves and the light blue did better at the top than did at the bottom, but not much. It's really hard to even see it. It's just, if you're close, you can see the difference. The light blue highlights in the first two roses didn't go as well as they did in the top, but the purple and the red more or less worked the same. There were a few spots they were taking pretty poorly, and so those will have to be redone with the purple. But always when you have a section of skin that's not taking as well, it's better not to, overdo it, beating the crap out of the skin, than it is to just kind of take a walk on it and acknowledge that, second passes exist for a reason. So we have this kind of dark to light purple gradient that actually looks quite nice, and I'm certainly not going to mind living with that for the period of time that the purple isn't as solid as it will be. We already know that repeated sessions yield better color. With that said, yeah, parts of it surprised me. All the blue that we've done here has really done quite well. This emerald mixed with white, or turquoise, sorry, it has an emerald look to it. It's really surprised me how bright that goes relatively easily. Likewise with the light blue highlights, but then again, we're just tinting things, so it doesn't even really need to be much of a bright color to really register against the darker purple and then the dark red that we've used. And again, that's just color contrasting. With black and gray, you have various shades of black and gray, and you can go from really, really dark to really, really light, but your range is much more limited than when you're considering color. So I think that for work over black, we should get away from this notion that white on black is the thing, because you need a lot of contrast in working over black, and it just doesn't afford you the range that color will. And so if you're looking for, and this is why we primarily use color and cover-ups, if you're looking to distract the eye from the old work, and this counts for Blackout as well, you really need to create an illusion and contrast and kind of things going on. So there's a lot at play here, and it's very hard to register that at this point that at some point this was a Blackout sleeve. That will only be more the case as time goes on, not less. There are still some people out there that somehow believe that I'm going to wake up one day and this is going to be a full black sleeve again. Yeah, you can't argue with that mindset. It'll make you crazy. There are people who actually think that, and to me that's absolute insanity. That it's like, if it lasts through the healing stage, if it's there in any way after it's healed, it's going to be that version. Like, it's going to be that thing. It's just going to dull out a little bit over time like any other tattoo. That's really all there is to it. It doesn't just fucking up and vanish one day. Oh, where'd my sleeve go? I guess it went away. Like that. The idea that people could actually think that is preposterous. Like, it gets sillier to me all the time. The longer my tattoos stay as visible as they've ever been, it's getting dumber every day. That mindset. And I really wonder how people have believed that horseshit for so long. It's a really bad showing for the industry that that's the prevailing thought with cover-up work. It's like, no, if it fades after it heals, it's because you didn't saturate it. It wasn't in the skin properly. It's not because it fades because it's on black or any other color. It's you didn't do the work. You didn't do it enough. You know, you didn't get it in the right layer of skin. Same thing with the palm tattoos. People are like, oh, palms, they just drop out. No, they don't drop out. You didn't get it in. It's a very different problem. It's a problem, yes, but it's not the problem you think you're having. It's not that palms cannot hold under any circumstances, which is still a thought that people have as well. Anyway, I don't want to get too tied in on that. Yeah, I'm going to be working on this sleeve again today, actually. I've got another session coming up. We're doing the thorns. I don't know if I mentioned the color that we're doing in the previous videos, and so if I have, then we'll go with that, but I'm not going to mention it today. I'll just show up here and I'll talk to you guys about it then. And after that session, we're going to be hitting the neck roses. So, oh yeah, here's how the hand one did. Very, very well. There's still a bit over here that, I guess there's very little over here that hasn't flaked off, but the hand one is very, very bright. It's as bright as the rest of them, maybe even brighter than some. So, and it went in like butter on the hand, so no problem there at all. Obviously going to keep the same color scheme here, but these roses were done by Rick originally, so Terry's roses are a little bit different. These have a lot more leaves in them, and they have a different balance of light to dark, so they'll be quite a bit more purple and blue than red in these. As you can see, there's quite a bit more high points here, and all of these high points will be light blue. And then over here, these will be that turquoise color on the leaves. So it's going to change quite a bit. You know, I'm going to see how many we can do. Throats are hard to tattoo. No tattooer likes to do them. And then they're hard to sit for, too. They're not pleasant. So I don't even know how many times I've worked on my neck. I think we worked on my neck like 15 times in 2022 alone. And I had a highlight run on my neck last year. That's all I did on my neck last year, but I'm fixing to have probably anywhere from 2 to 5 sessions, depending on how things go, on my neck this year, to get these thorns and the roses up to snuff with the sleeve. So, also obviously had another session with Rick, and then all of this up here is healed. So, as you can see, getting these new layers in, you can see the difference. And this didn't peel back much from where it was fresh. Like, it didn't change much. Now we have that nearly, fresh look as a healed base. And this will be much the same. This will go back maybe one level. It'll be like a shade darker. But it's going to stay very bright because it's built on a foundation that's already in the skin. As I always say, when you come back for those second and third passes, which most of this is actually third pass. Most of this stuff in here will be second pass. We worked a lot on the top. When you come in for those additional layers, it really is worth the wait. It's worth the patience and the time that you put into it. That's why I never really recommend this work to people who don't like getting tattooed. But then again, I don't really recommend any cover-up work to people who don't like getting tattooed. It's going to be a long road no matter what you do. So, laser, long road. Longer road than this, believe it or not. Straight up cover up, you're first off limited. Well, you're limited with laser too. You're less limited with this, believe it or not, because when you black out a canvas, you flatten the board. You go back to factory reset. It's just now you're working from a darker basis, so everything's going to take you probably 2 or 3 times as long, but you don't have any obstruction in the way. I've actually had some people ask why I don't just cover things up. So my first bodysuit was notoriously, busy and full of images. I've had some people say to me, why didn't you just cover that up with a traditional cover up instead of blacking it out first? First off, I enjoyed the blackout on its own, and I still do. I still like black work, even though it's become fairly trendy recently. That doesn't make me like the art form any less. It's just people take a while to get there. It just means that I was ahead of the curve on that, and so were several others that are watching this video. We always knew it was going to become popular, and we always knew that people were going to hate on it until it was, and now they're defending it. It's very funny to watch. That's how culture moves, though, so it's not really a surprise that once the normies get into it, so to speak, then all of a sudden it's acceptable and defendable. There was a while ago where it was racist and it was this thing and it was that. I mean, you still hear those things, but they're dying off now, thank goodness, because all of that is nonsense anyway. But where I was going with this is the reason why that didn't happen is because I actually enjoyed the Blackout stage, and it was really, for its own merits, it was a good time. But with that said, covering what I had on my bodysuit straight up, traditionally, like a normal cover-up route, is pretty much impossible. And it would have pretty much been impossible through the use of laser, too. When you have a full bodysuit and you're trying to cover that up, good fucking luck. With cover-ups, you need to build off of the image. You got a moon this size, suddenly it needs to be your hand or bigger, You got to build way bigger than what you started with. When you have no space to build off in any direction and everything is solid, good fucking luck covering that. It's like if you have something in the middle of your arm here, you got to take up quite a bit of your arm to cover that. That's just the way it is, whether you like to hear it or not. Now, if you have a full arm and you want to cover up, well, you've got no real way to hide things. And you're going to be really, really restricted on your choices about what you want to do for your cover-up. So what ends up happening is you go to a cover-up artist, you have a full sleeve, and for me, this won't work at all because I've got a full fucking color bodysuit already at that point. They go, no black and gray, color is your only option, and you have to leave it up to me what we do. With working over top of Blackout, you flatten the board. Your biggest problem is going to be finding someone who doesn't have their head up their ass who's willing to try. That is going to be your biggest problem, because if they are willing to try, they're working from a neutral base again. Okay? So if you have black everywhere, now everywhere you put purple, it's going to be the same tone of purple. Whereas when you cover various shades of color and black and gray and different things, all different line weights, and fucking multiple artists have worked on it, so some of it's in better than others, and there's all kinds of obstruction that you're dealing with, and they're all different values. All the new color that you're putting into that is going to be going in at a different level. It's going to be going in at different shades, and it's going to saturate better in different places than others. And it's just going to be very, very hard to create anything that works. So in this, you're actually doing yourself a service leveling the playing field by blacking something out. You just are. It's probably easier to... It's probably going to take you less time, too, because when you're having to change tones, say you can get the same color of purple over multiple different levels of shading and colors and line weights and all these things. You can. But you have to change the inks you're using or dilute them or, brighten them or darken them. And you have to use so much color theory before you even touch down that you end up spending so much time thinking about the process and how it's going to interact with each tone you're covering that you're losing time now. And every session you're going to be taking longer. And especially if you have a really wild sleeve that has all different colors and all different values in it, and that's what most people's cover-ups are, by the way. They're never just, I have this really well done tattoo and it was all like the same artist and it was all the same inks and all. That is very rare for cover-ups. Usually it's a jumble of artists, a jumble of styles, color, black and gray, patchy black, solid black, thick lines, blown out line. Like you're kind of covering a little bit of everything, and using the same color is not going to fit all. Where because this whole sleeve was black, everything we did was on the same value. And this is a perfect example because this is very straightforward. So we've used a total of, we used Panthera Black, we've used Pretty Purple, we've used Red Velvet, Really Red, we've used Sky Blue, and we've used turquoise blue, and we've lightened that with white. We've also used fusion white in this sleeve. I can remember all the different inks we've used because it's fairly straightforward. We didn't really have to change anything, and the only times obviously we added all this color. Before it was even more simple. Before it was Panthera Black on dynamic black with fusion white, and red velvet. That was it. And it all comes out the same color. It all comes out the same tone of white and black on black. And you don't have to worry about, well, I would put this here, but we have this thing to worry about over here. We've got this big star to work around, and it's super dark. But down here, it's free and clear. So all of a sudden, we have better work happening down here than we're capable of getting up here. And this is going to take way more passes. But even if we do the more passes, it's going to look tonally inconsistent from the thing we covered down here because we have different inks in there. It's just the way it is. It's actually probably the fastest route to a cover-up, even though you're doing a handful of blackout sessions to get the ball rolling. And then you got to wait a few months. Don't even get me started on what lasering a full sleeve is like. I took a girl back to the laser room here at the shop because I do laser. I do laser a couple times a week. It's not super popular, and I don't really have a hard time understanding why. I did a girl's whole outer arm and up onto some of her chest. We were back there for around an hour, and it was terrible. And she's going to have that done a million times. And I almost tried to talk her out of it. I talk more people out of it than into it because it's going to be such a fucking long run for her. Like, this is going to be her life now for who knows how long. Some of that stuff is very, very scarred. You can see scar tissue as soon as you start lasering. Almost all of this line work, she has this mandala thing in the center of her bicep. I didn't get into that day because it was too much already. But that whole mandala was just scar tissue and blowouts. It was all lined in, and her inner bicep was so chewed up, and there was so much ink in all of her. Like, it wasn't like whoever did this tattoo, and I know who it is, but I don't want to name names in case anyone was watching from around town here. Whoever did this tattoo, they were completely indifferent to this woman's skin. They did not give a fuck what it was saying to them. Because tattoos, when you're doing a tattoo on someone, you can usually figure out when something's going wrong if you've done enough work. This person was just indifferent to all of that. Just fucked her up, scarred her up, blew her out, chewed the fuck out of her skin. But there is so much ink in her that the laser was so reactive. It was hitting really hard. The guys out here could hear the laser smacking away for that whole hour because it was so dense. The ink was so dense. And I was running the machine real low, too. So when you're having that kind of a reaction, when you're running the machine at a very low intensity, it's crazy. Like, that's crazy. And all of it was scarred. And the thing is some of the stuff on her arm, people would be like, why'd you black that out? It looked so nice. It's fucking terrible. Why wouldn't she black it out? It's fucking garbage. And honestly, from my position, and I know not everyone agrees with this, but like, it would just be better off to black it out than to like, we're going to be lasering this for a very, very long time. There's no way it goes in one session. And even when they do go for the cover up, because she's getting a cover up, she's not trying to remove it. It's going to be like, she's still going to be so restricted based on what's there, because some parts of it will lighten, some parts of it might even vanish, but not all of it will. And so whatever's there is going to limit her choices. And that's, if she goes 10 sessions of laser, because there's so much damage done there's going to be scar tissue. Like, you're going to have to cover it up. It's not even a matter of, well, maybe she won't cover it up, because even if we get all the ink out of this thing, it's going to look like scarification of the old images. So there will be a cover-up at some point, but we're going to have to mask scars, and we're going to have to mask old ink and all this shit. And it's so much more to think about than it would be if you just level the canvas and start fresh with whatever the fuck you want. But this message hasn't spread far enough yet. People don't trust it enough yet. And so we have people doing this shit to themselves. I do recommend laser in some situations, small little tattoos, like a little script of your husband's name, or, a little banger you got in Vegas or something. Like, those are the kinds of things that I would recommend laser for. I do not recommend laser for large-scale work in any capacity. And you know what? I have an incentive to, because I make money I made good money off of that laser. It pays me very well to do that work, and it pains me to do it. I would rather not have that money at the cost of it, you know, at what I'm doing to someone, but I'm doing it with their say-so. And there is a market for it, so it's one of those things. It's like ethics be damned. This person wants this done, they're going to get it done somewhere, but I don't think it's the most ethical thing knowing what I know. You know, if I was to have no knowledge of any of this, then it may not faze me and I could happily just take her money and maybe even think that I was doing her some good. But I think she's in for so long with this that whoever ends up covering this mess at the end of it may as well be fucking her. Like, they may as well be in bed together because it's going to take that long. And it's going to be a dance. And she might not get what she wants out of it in the end and never really be that happy with it, because it's hard as a tattooer to create something very, very beautiful over all that scar tissue and various levels of ink and, you know, damaged skin. And laser does damage too. Even if you do it well, there will be some amount of damage. Like, there's no easy route to a cover-up, and people need to stop thinking there is. So I have people who are like, wow, Remy, but Remy, he's been working on it for, anyone who does laser has had that. I know people who've been lasering things for 5 years, so that's longer than I've been working on this sleeve, believe it or not. This is the 40th session. But I got to do whatever the fuck I wanted. We wanted to do a big Cthulhu over a Blackout sleeve? Sure, let's fucking roll. You know, same thing. You can go big and bold. This contrast in the sleeves was done intentionally to show that you can do more or less whatever the fuck you want over black. And with that said, it is a better route to a cover-up than laser or a conventional cover-up. And I would be willing to die on that hill. You can fight me in the comments if you like, but I've seen enough standard cover-ups. I've done enough laser, and I've been around Blackout enough. We've been doing these at the shop now for a while, where we black something out and cover it with a new image. It's all been informed by the work we've been doing on me, both Rick and Terry, but all the other artists have done small versions of this now too. I'm going to have my wife and one of the other apprentices do 2 tattoos on my legs this year, and they're going to work. It's not going to be some magic trick. It's just going to be basic tattoo science. And there will be no laser involved for 5 years or even a year. No level. None of that. Anyway, I could rant on and on about this, but I'll be talking to you guys again here soon, and have a great day.